The support is quite high. It's in the 80% for this action, for this war against Gaza and the Hamas rocket infrastructure. We had a briefing with a senior Israeli military official earlier today who said that they are in control of the northeastern part of Gaza, that they are also, other officials have said to me that they are encircling Gaza City, though apparently not in the city of Gaza yet, and that they have been meeting some resistance. They've been meeting the kind of resistance such as mortar fire, IED, and such, but not much face-to-face combat with Hamas militants. I had an exclusive interview with the Israeli Foreign Minister Zippy Livni, who told me that also Hamas had tried, but failed, she said, to kidnap a couple of the Israeli soldiers, knowing how very dear those soldiers are to the Israeli society and how far Israel goes to try to win those soldiers' release. In any event, there was a rumor earlier, and Zippy Livni confirmed that yes, indeed, there was an attempt to kidnap some of their soldiers in Gaza, but she said that it failed. She also bristled when I went on to ask her about what many are calling the disproportionate Israeli reaction to those weapons, to those missiles that Hamas has been firing. Listen to what she had to say.
They targeted last week a school in Beersheba in Israel. Do you think that the proportionate action is to target a school? We are not going to do this. They are targeting civilians. We are not going to do this. So the only measure that we are taking is to have them understand that this needs to be stopped. This is the expression of self-defense, the rights of self-defense of a state.
So what they're saying from all parts of the government and the military is that we know that we are not going to be able to completely wipe out Hamas rocket or other fire capability. But what we're trying to do is affect their capability and their motivation to get them to see that they should not do this in the future, otherwise face increased and even harder combat from Israel. Into the future, having neutralized their ability and their will to fire rockets, Israel hopes, then they want to make sure that there's no ability to smuggle any weapons further into Gaza, and that they say will require further work and more extensive work. To this end, there is not a consideration here in Israel of any immediate ceasefire, although diplomacy does continue. The Russians have sent their top Middle East envoy. President Sarkozy of France is due here tomorrow. Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair and elsewhere an EU delegation. They're all here trying to figure out ways in which to be able to bring this to an end. In the meantime, the humanitarian situation does get worse in the Gaza Strip, and humanitarian organizations are really sending out pleas for some kind of humanitarian corridor or cessation to allow much needed food and medical supplies to get in. Betty?
Christiane, we're looking at live pictures coming to us out of Gaza. We're seeing a part of the air assault. We've been talking about the ground assault. And as you mentioned, the humanitarian situation there in Gaza, many reports show that it is just deplorable in the sense that there is no electricity. Supplies are running out. Over 1 million people are trapped in the middle of this fighting. Are you getting any indication from Israeli leaders as to how long this might take?
No, they won't say, but they do say that this is not a short operation. They will not give any kind of timeline, and you can imagine certainly not in public. And if you go back to the Hezbollah war back in the summer of 2006, that lasted at least 30 days. So that's the kind of thing that potentially one might be looking at right now. But when you put the humanitarian situation to the Israelis, as I did to Foreign Minister Livni today, she says there is no humanitarian situation. They claim that they're allowing just enough food and medical supplies to get in to relieve any kind of necessity there. But from the ground, the view is very different. Those in Gaza say that it's not just over this period of the attacks, which have started last Saturday with the air assault, but even over the past months, weeks and years since Hamas won, that province, that territory of Gaza has been strangled, and more than 80% of the people there depend on international aid. So this is a big problem in terms of the humanitarian situation there.